Hi, my name is Adam Whitmer. I'm the founder and host here at ComplianceCohort.com. This compliance clip is going to talk about the contents of a CRA public file. It is that time of year. By April 1st of every year, you have to make sure the contents of your CRA public file are up to date. So we figured now would be a good time for you to take a look at your public file and make sure you have everything that you need. So the Community Reinvestment Act requires your public file to be in a couple of places. Number one, at your main office. For those of you that have one branch period, then this is all you have to worry about, is at the main office. But then you have to have the public file at one branch office in each state. So this is your main public file as applicable. And then at every single branch, you have to have an abbreviated version. So you have a main file at your main branch and at least one branch in every state. And then you have an abbreviated version at every other branch. Now, for the public file, here's what has to be in the public file. Number one, all written comments that were received from the public for the current year and each of the two prior calendar years. And now this doesn't mean every comment about the color of your building or whatnot. What they're talking about here are comments that relate to the bank's performance in helping to meet the community credit needs. So if the concern, complaint, or comment relates to meeting the credit needs of the community, it has to be in the public file. These comments by the bank must be included, so any responses you have to your customers would be included, but you do need to protect the identity of your customers. So if they're complaining, you want to remove their names so that their reputations aren't damaged. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing that needs to be included in the CRA public file is a copy of the public section of the most recent CRA performance evaluation. So your examiners will provide this after they do a CRA evaluation, and the copy must be in the file within 30 business days after you receive this copy. Number three, what also has to be in your public file is a list of your bank's branches. In this list, you have to include the street addresses of your branches and the geographies. And by geographies, the rule is very clear that it must be census tracts. So you're not giving latitude, longitude, you're giving the actual census tract, which is considered the geography of your branches. Number four, you also have to include in your CRA public file a list of branches that were open or closed by your bank during the current year and each of the prior two calendar years, including, of course, the street addresses and the geographies or census tracts. Number five, you have to include a list of services that are generally offered at the bank's branches. So this would include descriptions of materials and differences in availability or differences in cost or services at a particular branch from the normal branches. So you're going to include that in your public file as well. You're also going to include hours of operations, your available loan and deposit products, and any transaction fees. The sixth thing that has to be in the CRA public file is an actual map of each assessment area. So what you're going to have is a map that reflects the boundaries of your assessment area. So if your county is square, you're just going to have a very square county. You may have a couple counties. You may have a couple assessment areas, so you'll have a couple of maps. But you have to have a map of each assessment area in your CRA public file that identifies the geographies, which of course are the census tracts contained within the area. Now, some maps can contain them, but if you're in a large urban area, you may have a list on the side or an addendum to that map that lists all of your specific geographies. I've seen it both ways, but you do have to identify the geographies contained within the areas of your assessment area. Number seven, you can put anything else in the public file that you choose to. So if you want colored pictures from kids, you can do that, but I generally want to say keep it simple, stupid. It just makes it easier, and I like to organize my public files in the same way that the rules state, just like what I've said here. So keep it in order so an examiner going down the checklist can easily find everything that they need in their public file. Now, if you're a large bank, you have some requirements. So large banks are banks that are over 1.2-ish billion in assets. You should know who you are. If you're a large bank, you want to include your CRA disclosure statement that comes from CRA reporting. So that's your, like a HMDA, it's your CRA disclosure statement. And also, if you elected to have one or more categories of consumer loans considered under the lending test, for each category, the number and amount of loans that were originated to low, moderate, middle, or upper income individuals. Also, the number that were located in low, moderate, middle, or upper income census tracts, and those loans that were located inside or outside of your bank's assessment area. So these are the requirements for large banks. Now for HMDA reporters, if you're a HMDA reporter, you've got some requirements as well. What you have to do, this rule changed here in early 2018. You have to include a written notice that the bank's disclosure statement may be obtained on the CFPB's website at consumerfinance.gov/HMDA. So that has to be in your public file. Now, there has been some discussion. Some examiners are expecting you to have the previous 2 years of HMDA data in there because those HMDA data years were not subject to the new rules. But I think at this point we can access our last 2 years of HMDA data on consumerfinance.gov. So you may be okay, but check with your examiners. They may want the prior 2 years. 2 years from now, this will not be an issue at all. Small banks. You are a small bank if you are not a large bank. So this applies to both small banks and intermediate small banks. What you have to include are your loan to deposit ratios for each quarter of the prior calendar year. Now, those loan deposit ratios are supposed to be calculated in accordance to your call report calculations, so you need to make sure that you follow those. I've seen some exam citations where loan to deposit ratios were calculated wrong because they were calculated on an internal calculation and not according to the call report instructions. Now, if you're a financial institution with a strategic plan, as we do see with a lot of internet banks, then you're going to have a copy of your approved strategic plan that the financial institution is going to be evaluated under. And if you're a bank that had a less than satisfactory rating, you have to provide a description of your current efforts to improve your performance and helping to meet the credit needs of your entire community. So that is what needs to be in your public file. Again, your public file needs to be updated by April 1st of each year, so now is the time to do that. If you've not done it, make sure you do it. Again, it's easy to just follow the checklist of the rules that I've outlined in the video here in your public file, so your file's in order. Another question I get on public files is, do they have to be a paper file? No, they could be electronically. I've organized public files in the past that are on a shared drive. They just have to be accessible by all the applicable branches. So that's all I have for you today in this compliance clip. I know it was a little bit longer than normal, but it's public file time of the year, so I thought it'd be fun to just go over all of the rules. How fun is that, going over rules? Anyway, if you're not currently a member of the compliance cohort, please check us out. We have a lot of free training videos just like this. We have a lot of free articles, other resources, discounts, a weekly newsletter, things like that are free to our members, to our free members. And if you are a member, thank you so much for supporting the compliance cohort. Until I see you again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.